I'm gonna try to be not too spoilery with this review.
Oh,
Well, because it just ended last night. So the day we're recording this, last night, the final episode of Penguin came out. And so Penguin is over. It was 8 episodes. It was on Max. And it is a spin-off, or really a continuation of the Batman movie that came out with Zoe Kravitz and with Matt Reeves as the director. What's this guy's name from Twilight? He's the star of the film. Let me go right back to IMDb. I always forget his name.
Colin Farrell.
Robert Pattinson.
Oh,
So in that film, Robert Pattinson is Batman, Zoe Kravitz is Catwoman, and Penguin is Colin Farrell. And so he
oh,
did such an amazing job that this series kind of came from that. And so this series is taking place right after the Batman, which is named in the movie The Batman, right after The Batman, and kind of takes us to the second film. There's going to be 3 films and a couple of TV shows. This one kind of bridges the gap between between the first film and the second film. So this was really interesting, a cool way to do a series. I love that it was a limited series. Um, Colin Farrell did an amazing job as Penguin again, and it's a really interesting show. There's a young lady who kind of has taken off. She is I guess, his co-star technically. She's been all over all the late shows like Jimmy Fallon and all that stuff. Let me pull her name up. I don't know her name. Her name is
what?
Kristen Milotti.
Okay.
Anyway, she's in the show. She does a great job in the show. And she's been all over the place. Every time I turn on YouTube, there's different clips of her talking about Penguin on different shows. Um, yeah, so this is a really good show. Matt Reeves did not do the show. He is an executive producer. IMDb says this show was created by Lauren LaFranc, who I don't know who that is. But yeah, so anyway, 8 episodes on Max. This is not an ad. They didn't pay us, but I watched it. And normally I watch shows late in the game. I watch stuff after they came out, but the last couple things I watched, I kind of watched them pretty much as they were coming out. I watched The Old Man season 2 pretty much as it was coming out, and then Penguin finished last night, and I watched most of it last night and finished it earlier today. So that's the background. So I think this was a really good show. I'm gonna try not to spoil too much because it just came out.
And I
I
still want
want
to
to
see.
be right, and I want to be nice to the people who have been watching it, but maybe didn't get to watch the finale just yet. Um, so let me tell you one of the funniest things about the show, which I think is also one of the flyest things about the show, is every episode it's like Penguin should have died. Every episode Penguin has a near death experience.
Oh.
Every episode it's like, oh, all right, so he might die this episode.
Mhm. And then,
Wild.
and then he cheats death.
He cheats death so many times. It's crazy. But yeah, it's a really interesting show. I thought they did a great job of character development. There are some characters that are new to, so a lot of characters in the show are new to that franchise. We really only know 1 or 2 characters when the show starts. I think 3 max, if I'm correct. I don't know. I saw the Batman when it first came out, but it's been a while and I haven't rewatched it. It's 3 hours. I'm not rewatching it. But yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's a long time.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think only like 3 characters are from this world, when the show starts. People thought Batman would be in it. Batman is not in it. That's not a spoiler. That was announced online. Because as the show was going on, fans kept saying like, "Well, when are we getting Batman? When are we getting Batman?" And the creators of the show said, "There's no Batman in this show."
Mm.
Um, So I think they did a really good job of introducing new characters and kind of exploring the lore of Gotham City. Um, so it is still Gotham where this takes place, but there's like they go all the way from like the slums of Gotham all the way to like the rich people neighborhoods, and they did a really good job of kind of developing these characters. Even a couple of the characters. What's up?
I was gonna sing the song, but we're not allowed to sing that anymore, so I'm just gonna move right along.
Okay. Um,
Sorry.
it's cool. Um, some of the characters, there's like two characters or whatever. There's a few characters that they kind of, if you know Batman and
Mhm.
Gotham and those characters, that storyline, you know some of these characters. But they also made some interesting changes to those characters. And so this is a really cool Elseworld, which is what it would be called in DC. The way Marvel has What If, DC has the same thing. It's called Elseworld. And so this is an Elseworld story. This whole Batman trilogy and their spin-off shows will not be part of the main DC that's starting over in January. Well, December technically. Next month a show starts. The technically it will be the beginning of the brand new DC universe. This
Okay.
is a side thing in a whole nother universe. None of this is
I was wondering
main.
about that.
Yeah, they listed all the stuff that was side stuff or Elseworlds rather, like Joker and Joker 2, that's a Elseworld. It's not
Okay.
tied to the main DC universe that's starting over.
Mhm.
So this was a really cool Elseworld. The actors really did a phenomenal job.
Mhm.
I know a lot of people are speaking about Colin Farrell and the young lady whose name I read, but everybody who was in this show really put their best foot forward. They really put their foot in the ass of that character, so to speak. They did a great job. You see how these storylines shift and how the show evolved characters over time.
Mhm.
Relationships and plot twists were in there. It's really good. Um, yeah, and then you see basically what they said. Then the show was first announced. They said this would show you how Penguin rises to power in Gotham. Because everybody knows in the Batman world, in Gotham, Penguin is a heavy hitter, right? Penguin is a top guy in the city, so to speak.
Yeah.
So this is a really cool way of showing that instead of the next movie coming and you just being like, how did this happen? How did this guy just become the man? And so
Right.
this is a really cool way of seeing it. But it doesn't come easy. I'll say that. Yeah, it does. It does. Penguin does end up being the man. But it doesn't come easy. Like I said, every episode he cheats death. He has a near death experience. We learn about some of his childhood traumas and all this stuff that's going on in his life and how this guy is just trying to fight tooth and nail to climb his way. So yeah, it's really interesting. There are some things in there that reminded me of the Joker movie. There are some things in there that reminded me of Fight Club. This was really good. It was a really good way of kind of doing your own thing with the character.
Uh-huh.
Because we know about the Penguin character, we know about Gotham, we know about some of the mob families that are in this series, but they kind of made each character their own, right? And so it doesn't feel like the character is the same as something else you saw before. It seems like this character was able to become their own presence in this new weird world that they're creating. And it's very based in realism in a sense. So I thought that was cool too. Like, even though it's a superhero world, it's not like in the middle of a scene, Superman is just flying by or something, or people are not getting, shot 20 times and spitting out the bullets and getting up and keep walking. So that's cool. And I guess that fits the world that Matt Reeves is trying to build for this Batman trilogy that he has going on. So, yeah, I just think it's a good show. I think they did a good job. I talk all the time about how short series sometimes waste your time. There was only one episode this 8 episode show or season because I don't think there's going to be a season two, but people are already starting to ask for a season two.
Mhm.
Um, it was only one episode that I feel like was kind of a filler episode. But even in that episode, like big stuff happened. So I could see why people would say it was not. But there was one episode that kind of dragged a little bit. Kind of felt like, all right, this is a little fillery. So kind of. I didn't want to say so to speak again. Um, so I thought that was good. I hate when short shows drag. I feel like
Yeah,
let's get to the point.
yeah.
So it was interesting, and things continue to happen that evolved the story, progressed the story as each episode went on. Um, and
Okay.
yeah, the young lady again, she did a phenomenal job. You see her go from like this crazy chick to someone who is um uh more calculated to
Okay.
someone who becomes like power hungry. It's like a lot of different things, and you see a lot of depth with her character. So she did an Kristen did an amazing job playing the character of Sophia. It was really cool how they did it. And yeah, actually, what I thought was also really interesting is a lot of this show is about family in a weird way.
Really?
Yeah, I don't want to say too much. Like I said, the show just ended last night, but you wouldn't think that, you know? But yeah, a lot of this show is about family and bonds and loyalty and friendship. So it was really interesting how that's kind of interwoven into the story.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. I'm definitely gonna watch it. It sounds like the characters have they're multi-layered, which is good. It
Hmm.
sounds like they
Hmm.
have a lot of depth, which is always nice. Do you feel like they should do a season two?
No, I don't think they need to. But I could see how they would.
Okay.
Um, I think they ended things well. There's no like cliffhanger.
Okay.
Um, so if you just wanted to continue to further along the story, that's fine. But I don't think you necessarily need a season two. I
Okay.
think now that we see where Penguin is at, if Penguin is the main villain of the next movie, then it's fine. Now, I will say if Penguin is not the main person in the next movie, then perhaps you want a season two. So we could kind of just rock out more with the character and see where it is that he's gonna go next. Also, there are three movies, so it's possible that season two will come, but won't come for a long time, right? It's possible that season two will be between the second and third film
Okay. That makes sense.
because there is another show coming. I don't know 100% what they're naming it, but it's about Gotham itself. It's not supposed to be about any specific villain. It's just supposed to be a series about different things going on in Gotham to also kind of bring you up to speed with what's going on. Um, so I could see them not doing a season two because maybe that Gotham show, whatever it's going to be called, will carry enough for us to get to whatever's coming next.
Okay. It's interesting. Like this sounds is is this character Penguin? Is Penguin similar to Kingpin?
No.
No. Okay, because I know you talk a lot about Gotham and how he has to like rise in Gotham, and I feel like Kingpin is very much. I know I know it's not DC, but
Mhm.
it just reminds me of Kingpin like trying to run the city.
I mean, in that sense, yes. If you're gonna just talk about, is it like a mobster show? Yeah, yeah, it's a mobster show of a mobster trying to become number one. Sure, but there's lots of details that make them different.
Yeah, I didn't
Um,
think it was same characters, but I just that's the thing I thought of that sounded similar to it. But it sounds like it was a good show. I definitely want to check it out. I have not seen the movie that came before it. Um,
so the cool thing is you don't have to, um, because it's the events that tie to this show are referenced. Um, Now you may not know exactly how the thing happened, but they'll say, for example, like, "Oh yeah, JD had that blue shirt on." You're like, "Oh, okay, JD had a blue shirt on." Now, why did JD have a blue shirt on? You got to go watch the movie, right? But yeah, so there are a couple things that happen in Gotham in the Batman movie that are referenced in the show. There's a couple of things, but the two major things that are in the show are referenced enough that you know what happened. And one thing they straight up show you just from a different person's perspective than in the movie.
Okay.
So you're able to kind of see how things happened. But I think to get the full scope, you should probably watch the movie.
I was gonna watch the movie because sequence is important to me.
Okay.
Like I need to know what happened before.
Hmm.
If it exists, I need to know what happened before and then move on to the next thing. I don't like starting things in the middle.
Understood.
Yeah. So I'll let you know if I do.
Yeah.
Anywho.
We'll wait for that with your Bad Boy review.
Oh, I did the Bad Boy review though.
No.
Oh, I had the new one you mean.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I did the other one.
Yeah, but we waiting for the new one, you know?
Oh yeah, no, I got y'all.
Waiting for your Bad Boy 4 review.
Don't even worry about it. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
On
Okay.
the list.
That and the Batman. We'll be waiting.
Okay. I got you coming soon to a weeknights episode near you.
Right.
All right, well, if that's it, if you don't have any final thoughts, that's the
Well, I figured you
episode.
might have questions, so I did like again. I'm trying not to say too much. So
Well, I've been trying to ask questions in the middle to, see where it's at. I mean, like I said, I feel like I should watch it. And it
mhm.
sounds pretty interesting. Like I said, the characters sound like they have a lot of depth, and you explained it pretty well as far as how it fits into what's happening with the uh, DC universe. So,
Mhm.
no, I think that was a great review.
Yeah. The last thing, thanks. The last thing I will say is I thought it was really interesting. My daughter was disappointed, but I thought it
Mhm.
was really interesting that the Batman, the movie, was PG-13 and the Penguin show is rated R.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, when you watch the show, you understand it's like violent and there's all type of stuff in there that's not for kids. But I just thought that was an interesting change, right? You expect if the show was PG-13, that probably the reverse that. You expect if the movie was PG-13, which is the bigger thing,
for
I feel
sure.
like the spin-off would probably be the same. But I appreciate that they made it rated R, even though my daughter can't see it currently. Um, I mean, I would let her watch it. It's just, it's not like there's mad sex. I mean, there is a lot of drug usage, and drug paraphernalia and drug sales. And so maybe that's why, but I don't know, whatever. I think, it's not like they're having wild, crazy orgies in the movie. But I guess that's based on everybody's perspective of what's appropriate for 14-year-olds and what's not. But anyway, I just thought I do want to mention that. I thought that was interesting that they did that kind of change, because clearly there's a jump, right? And so this is a more gritty, more raw piece of content, if you will. So I thought that was an interesting change, and I think that's worth mentioning. I had some pause when I saw them change it, but I totally understand why, and I think they did a great job, as I said.
Well, they upped the ante for the show. Sounds like
They definitely did.
I dig that. I
Yeah.
dig that. I'll be watching.
All
Just
right.
you.
Oh, I will. I will. Yeah.